So recently, I've been playing around with the new AI tool and I just canceled 8 different paid subscriptions. Honestly, my mind is blown. So if you create content, run ads, or market anything online, and if you're not using what I'm about to show you, then you're already behind. Here's something nobody really realizes. Most people who are using AI for content right now are stuck in an absolute hell of manual work. You buy multiple subscriptions for different models. You've got one for research, one for content creation, another for vibe coding. But at the end of the day, it's you who's doing the most intensive manual part, the orchestration. And even if you're constantly trying to keep up with the newest workflows and the latest trends, the process is long, expensive, and literally impossible to scale or to automate. I'm Sanji, and for the last month, I got limited access to beta test Higgsfield's new AI tool called Supercomputer. Basically, it's a super agent that orchestrates all of the best AI models available on the market to do whatever you can think of. Supercomputer is the only AI agent on the market with this level of advanced Instagram and TikTok analytics. It doesn't just guess what goes viral, it reverse engineers your entire account. It'll analyze your past performances and understand what's actually converting and what's not. And it uses that exact data to engineer your next winning campaign. During my time testing it, I worked directly with the people who built this product. And let me tell you guys, what they have under the hood right now is easily 6 to 9 months ahead of the rest of the industry. But you don't even need the secret stuff to see the magic for yourself. The version of Supercomputer that's live right now is already a complete game changer. What I'm about to show you guys next is what's making ad agencies sweat. But before we look at the demo, let's think about our end goal. If I run an e-commerce brand or an ad agency, then I know that finding just one winning ad can easily generate up to $100,000 in revenue before it burns out. But we all know that the game isn't about making one great ad. The game is about making 200 variations and finding the one that outperforms everything else. But the problem is that realistically, most teams can only produce 5 to 10 creatives a month because every single one has to be shot, edited, and polished individually. So what about a world in which one prompt could give you 20 variations that all follow the same proven formula? For example, we created a brand called Fruitcas, a fresh fruit drink, and it needs UGC style demo ads, that casual iPhone looking content that actually performs on TikTok and on Reels. And the prompt was so simple. I just said, I need you to write prompts for 5 videos in a similar style as this one, but replace the characters with a different girl and a different location, and I want the way that she shows and drinks the product to stay roughly the same. Supercomputer didn't just generate 5 random videos, it actually analyzed the reference and broke down the selling mechanism frame by frame. Let that sink in for a second and understand why that matters. In advertising, the formula is the asset. Anybody out there can copy an ad, but if you understand the pattern, if you understand the why, then you can reproduce the selling mechanism in 100 different ways without ever copying the exact creative. So Supercomputer writes 5 variations of the same proven formula, but it doesn't just swap out the background because visual is only half the battle. Supercomputer actually rewrites the core marketing angles. It gives you completely different hooks to test, different value propositions targeting different pay points, and new CTAs. Then it generates those unique characters, lighting, and vibes to perfectly match those new scripts. Now, it did give us a great result, but here's a pro tip about using Supercomputer. The more you use it, the better it actually gets. In this chat box, as you can see, I was actually iterating to make the person even more realistic. Then I worked on the product consistency and I got the final results that not just your grandma, but even you wouldn't be able to tell were AI generated. But notice how I was giving it comments in plain English. There were no sophisticated prompts or prior knowledge required. And here's where the real kicker is. Supercomputer will actually learn your brand. Now, watch what happens when we type the same prompt in a new chat box. It actually did its homework and produced the perfect results without any iterations or me needing to paste any prompt templates. Now just look at this visual quality. Look at these super realistic skin textures. It captured that exact iPhone look that I needed. The gesticulation, the variation of the characters, of the locations. I mean, this thing now generates all of these things automatically in any amount, and it actually looks real. That right there is what a media buyer would call a creative testing goldmine. Different hooks, different faces, different locations, different vibes, and they all come from one prompt. Let me put this in commercial terms because at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. If you hire a real UGC creator to film one video for your brand, then you're paying $200 to $500 per clip on the low end. Now, usually for a successful campaign, you need 50 hooks with 1 to 3 CTAs each. That's 150 ad variations per week just to find a winner. Supercomputer now does this in a single afternoon session, and every single variation comes out with hooks that actually stop the scroll. So when you're thinking about using it, the real math isn't I spent money on credits. The math is I spent $100 on credits and I found a winning ad that's going to generate tens of thousands in revenue over the next 60 days. So while your competition is still discussing revision 4, you're already on variation 200. Now, most people might say, that's cool, I'll check it out later. And I totally get it. I used to do the same exact thing. I toss every new tool into a save for later folder that I never actually opened. But let me show you guys something. This is what every major AI adoption tool curve looks like. There's that small window at the beginning where the early adopters figure it out, and then there's that steep part where everybody else catches up. Except by then, the early adopters already have 6 months of content, 6 months of audience growth, and 6 months of compounding performance that you, as a later adopter, would need to catch up to. So let me ask you something. How much does not having a system like this cost you today? Not in dollars, but in opportunity cost, in the content that you didn't ship and the audiences that you didn't reach. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the art of content creation and I enjoy polishing the content until it's perfect, until it reaches that exact ready to go state. But when the trends today are exploding and then dying in a matter of days, spending time on manual scripting, rendering, and editing means the market oftentimes has already moved on. Now, the question isn't what supercomputer costs, it's what it's costing you not to use it. And the people who figure that out 6 months from now, they'll be watching somebody else's success story and not starring in their own. So go to Higgsfield AI. Sign up for Supercomputer. Type your first prompt and watch the agent generate your next campaign. The people who start running this today are gonna look real smart by the end of the year. Don't be the one who finds out about this in 6 months from somebody else's success story. So go out there and create something.